All right, I'm going to get started with reading A Boy Called Bat. We are on chapter 10. So chapter 10, A Very Long Day. Bat was right. It was a long day. The rain that had been threatening came, and after they ate lunch, the students pulled on their rain gear to splash in puddles. Bat did not like to get wet. He didn't like it at all. It made his clothes feel sticky and itchy and uncomfortable. Mr. Grayson knew that Bat didn't like to get wet, so even though the Saw Wet School philosophy said that students should go outside, rain or shine or snow, he asked Bat, would you like to spend recess helping me clean baby cake's enclosure? Yes, said Bat. Mr. Grayson got a trash bag and Bat scooped the old straw into it. Then they laid out a fresh patch of straw. It smelled like summertime and sunshine. Baby Capes hopped over the straw and sniffed it. She looks happy, Mr. Grayson said. She looks exactly the same as she always does, Bat answered. Mr. Grayson laughed. Grown-ups were always laughing at things that Bat didn't think were funny, but it didn't bother Bat very much when Mr. Grayson did it. Julio, a fourth grader who was a natural athlete, came into the classroom. Mr. Grayson, he said, Principal Martinez wants to know if you're still going to teach yoga. Sure, Mr. Grayson said. Tell her I'm all ready to start. Then he said, Julio, I think you've grown a foot since the last time I saw you. Julio shrugged. Not that much, I said, but I've grown an inch since winter break. I'm not surprised, Mr. Grayson said. That was 3 months ago. Bat thought about the time as he followed Mr. Grayson to the yoga room and sat on his mat in a butterfly pose. 3 months, he guessed. Could be a little of time for a really long time, depending on who you are. For instance, a monarch butterfly born in the summer lives only about 6 weeks, so 4 months would feel like forever. But a monarch butterfly born in the winter might live for 8 months, so 4 months would be just half its life. And if you were a boy with a skunk kit that you were only allowed to keep for 1 month, time was sure to pass much, much too quickly. Bat considered telling Mr. Grayson about the life cycle of a monarch butterfly, but the teacher was busy unlacing his orange high tops and getting ready to lead the group in yoga. He decided he would talk about monarch butterflies with Mr. Grayson later. But the right later never happened. After yoga, they went back to the 3rd grade room for reading circle. After reading circle, they worked on volcano projects, which Bat had not been looking forward to. Groups of 4 kids had to work together to build a volcano. Mr. Grayson called it collaborative art. Bat did not like collaboration. He liked to do things himself. That way, if something didn't turn out the way he wanted it to, there was no one else to be mad at. And if he wanted to take it apart and start over, no one could tell him not to. But Mr. Grayson wouldn't let Bat be a group of 1. The problem was that no one else in the group seemed to care as much as Bat did. 3 times before 2:45, when class was finally over for the day, Bat's group said, Mr. Grayson, Bat won't let us help. I don't need help, Bat told Jenny when she complained for a second time. It's a group project, she said. You have to let us help. Israel, who was in Bat's group, kept asking him all kinds of annoying questions like, hey Bat, do you think the lava is red enough? And Bat, can you help me pass the paste? Bat ignored lava question. About the paste, he said, glue works better than paste. The paste gets all weird and flaky when it dries. Okay, said Israel, pass me the glue then. I'm using the glue, Bat said. Things would go much more smoothly, Bat thought, if the other kids would stop asking questions and interfering, and just let him get on with the job. By the time Miss Kiko rang the end of the bell from the hallway, Bat's left eye felt twitchy, and he wanted to do was climb into Mom's car and go home in his own room. But when he walked outside, he didn't see Mom's burgundy station wagon. Instead, he saw Dad's yellow sports car, and he remembered with a heavy sigh that today was and every other Friday, and he wouldn't get to see his own room or baby Kit for 3 long days. If Bat were a mayfly, he wouldn't even live that long. Chapter 11, Apartment 2A. Hi, Sport, said Dad. Bat didn't like being called Sport because he didn't like playing sports or watching sports. Bat liked being called Bat because he liked playing with animals and reading about animals and watching videos about animals. But Dad didn't like calling him Bat. When he wasn't calling Bat Sport, he always called him Bixby Alexander. It's a great name, he liked to say. It was an okay name. Bat's first name, Bixby, had been his mom's last name before she got married. Now that she and Dad were divorced, she had made it her last name again, but she kept Tam instead because she said, I gave Bixby to you and you get to keep it. Bat's middle name, Alexander, was the same as his dad's middle name, and all four of them, Dad, Mom, Janie, and Bat, were Tams, even though they didn't all live together in one house. The rain had turned into a gentle mist, and Dad had his windshield wipers turned until their lows setting. You know what we need on a chilly day like this, Dad asked. What? Bat replied. Well, I was thinking that after we pick up your sister, we could go to Coco's and get some hot chocolate. Do you like that idea? Coco's was the name of Bat's favorite coffee shop downtown. It was nestled in between a bookstore and an old stuffed animals and shoe store. Okay, said Bat. They drove under the little bridge and through downtown. Because of the rain, fewer bicyclists crowded the street, and it didn't take Bat's dad very long to get to Janie's school. Bat recognized her right away. She was standing near the corner, wearing her bright yellow rain slicker. Bat admired the way she looked like a sunny yellow sun. Hi, Dad, said Janie. She tossed her backpack into the next seat to Bat and then slid into the front seat, slamming the door. Hello, my girl. How was your day? Bat relaxed into the back seat as Janie told Dad about her day. He didn't listen to the words of what she was saying, but he liked the way her voice went up and down like music. Dad's voice was nice, too. It was lower than Janie's, and it didn't go up or down very much. It was like a straight line. At Coco's, Bat spilled some hot chocolate on his shirt, and when he took off the lid to add cinnamon, Be careful, sport, said Dad, which was a dumb thing to say because the hot chocolate was already spilled, and being careful wouldn't have unspilled it. But Bat couldn't enjoy the taste of his drink at all because the only thing he could think about was the wet, uncomfortable stain on his shirt. Dad's apartment was in a complex that had a pool and a workout room. Kids under 13 weren't allowed to use the workout equipment, which Bat thought was unfair. He really wanted to try the treadmill. The apartment was on the second floor. There was an elevator, but Bat preferred to take the stairs. He liked them because there were 2 sets of 11 stairs, and 11 was his favorite number. One day he would be 11, which felt like an exciting thing to be. At the top of the stairs, they turned right and walked around the corner. Then Dad unlocked the door of apartment 2A, and they all went inside. Home sweet home, said Dad. It didn't feel like home. And it didn't smell sweet. It smells like onions in here, Janie said, wrinkling her nose. That's because the slow cooker made dinner for us, Dad said. Chili. Bat didn't like chili. Dad knew he didn't like it. Bat didn't like mushy food except for oatmeal with brown sugar. I don't like chili, Bat said. Maybe you'll like it tonight, Dad answered. I tried a new recipe. Unless the new recipe was for a chili that included any chili, Bat would not like it. Bat sighed and shrugged off his backpack. It was going to be a long weekend. And that is the end of chapter 11. Tomorrow you'll get to read chapter 12 on your own.